Yeah.
And I'm not joking. Like, I'm really not joking. They've already said yes. I'll close them again and again and again. Now, nobody ever thinks that I'm doing this, and I'm not being a salesperson. Like, they don't think I'm being salesy, but I will make sure that they have not have just bought in like 80%, even if they gave me a credit card and okay, cool, awesome, and I'm going to close again. However I do this, it's like I'm going to close again. I'm going to close again. I'm going to future pace them into the program. All sorts of shit.
Yeah.
Like, so they don't even know what they're going to talk about. They just think they're supposed to. You got a payment. It's like all the way through.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Okay. All right. So I have a question that's about references and so forth. I know we've touched a little bit on this, but with a new business, we don't have many references. And then I just wanted to share one thing. So the reason we need these references is because we're finally building the pipeline and we're getting, I know, right? It's amazing. When you focus on sales and use the tools, it's crazy.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But
I love
it.
The
good thing, what we've learned is that I've kicked out of all of the discovery and clarity calls. It just did not work. But what she's great at is obviously the walkthrough when the in-home consultation. So I'm selling her basically in-home consultation. But now we're getting to where we're both doing such a great. I don't go on those in-home consultations because she drives me nuts. Right. So I let her do her thing. She lets me do my thing.
That's right.
It works. We're kicking ass right now. We're kicking butt. Yeah. So, but now we have references. People are asking us now for references, and we have the very few. I know that we need to start asking more at the appropriate times and so forth, but what do we do at this point where we do have minimal and we're working on gathering the references? How can I give them the references that or the confidence they need to work with us to push them over?
Yeah, so great question. What I like to say is something like this. I'm happy to give you a couple references, and I have found in the past when I've done that, it really does you the greatest disservice, because when you go to ask them questions they can't answer, right? It leaves it feeling like, well, I don't know how to answer that question, right? What oftentimes, like what I'll say is like, I'm really the best person that you can ask me anything. Like, what is it that you would really like to know that you're afraid to ask me? Does that make sense? Yes, of course. You want to have like, two people that you could just be like, but can you see that two people that you could be like, oh, I could give them this person or this person, like that the person knows they're like, oh my God, yes, I would love to be someone who recommends you, right? You want to have like one or two people in a pocket that you could give, but at the same time, I would never change what I just said. Like at the same time, I would say, you're never going to go, here's 30, here's 10, right? Because all you're doing when you do that, just so you can feel it, is you're taking them down a rabbit hole that they're not going to come out of. People have differences of opinion and people see things differently. So the idea is really more this. They think that that's the right thing that they should do next. And what you want to do is be like, acknowledge them. Like, I completely understand you want some references. I'm happy to give you, one or two of them. You could really actually follow through and ask them. But what I have found in the past is anytime I've done that, and now you have questions for them that they can't answer. Of course they love us. That's why they give us these 5-star reviews. But like any questions you're going to have that they can't answer, I really should be the one to answer it. So I'm just curious, to save you so much time, what's your greatest concern? What are you most afraid of that you don't want to happen? And then what we're doing is we're calling out the objection. Does everybody get this? I'm causing the objection to come up. Michael is brilliant at this.
I did it yesterday. Woman joined our year-long program. And all I did was, because she was at the end of the conversation, I did it. I mean, it wasn't the exact same circumstance. She wasn't asking for references. She was going, okay, this sounds good. I just want to sit with it. And so I gave her a couple things to sit with in the moment. I said, no, I totally get that. And I'm not rushing off the call. So you can still ask me anything you'd like. And she's a coach. I said, from coach to coach, no matter how big the decision is, what I would always offer you to consider is that you can sit down in 5 minutes and make a decision. And she was like, oh, now, so is there anything you want to ask me that might help you clear up anything that's coming off you, or however I worded it? And then she asked me a question. I answered her. And then she sat there for 10 seconds. She's like, okay, I'm in. Okay. So it really is they don't even know what they wanted. They don't even know why they're reaching out to the people. They already like you. They wouldn't be looking for references if they weren't interested in hiring you. It's when you ask that question, it's oh, totally get that. And I'm happy to see if there's somebody that would be willing to do that for you. I mean, it is my client. So it's I can't promise that they're going to give their time. time, they give us reviews so I can hear what they say about us. They say we're incredible, we're on time, whatever they've said. Is there a question I can answer or a concern that you have? And when you do, you clear the concern to go talk to somebody else. Like, this is closing versus pleasing.
Yes.
Say that
right.
back.
Yeah.
Say that back.
Yeah.
Closing versus pleasing.
Yes, closing versus pleasing. And that is, I know my close is the weakest part of my sales. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's all about that objection less, I can't ever say that word, close. And that's, I'm not clearing that enough at the beginning.
So let's do it.
We've actually learned this from the hard way too, because we've had people that were like raving fans of us. We thought when someone was like asked if they could get on a call with somebody, we put them on the call with somebody that was like, literally like they would rave about us to our face. Like they were like, oh my God, you guys are the greatest thing since sliced bread. When they got on the phone with somebody else, they were like, oh, well, they made it all about themselves, basically. They were like, oh, well, I did the work. Like, I really had to work hard at this. And they made it sound like it was a big deal when this person was already closed. So we've learned the hard way. And that's all that can possibly metaphor. It's like, you have the bird in the hand. They're right in front of you. You want to go, okay, I don't want to send you back out of the nest or out of my hand to go to somebody else to make the decision.
So are you guys saying that you don't then provide any references? You just say, look at all of stuff online, all those recommendations that we receive, then you don't do?
Mia, you can answer however you want, but like if I'm in a sales conversation with somebody and they're like, oh, well, I need something else. It's like, well, what's there for you? Like, exactly what, people will say a lot of, they don't even know what they're really trying to figure out. They just are trying to not make a mistake. And you're like, well, what's the concern? It's like, well, are you guys really going to show up when you say you're going to show up? It's like, oh, wow, I really get that you were concerned because have you had that experience with other contractors? We promised to do X, Y, Z. And then you address their concern. If they said something that like, I can't think of something, but like if they can't address it, then it's like, okay, like I'm happy to, I then will send them someplace else maybe, but like, I don't think I ever have that happen anymore.
No. And so here's what Michael will, just so you can see, this is what Michael will do. Like he gets the biggest concern they're afraid of. He says, okay, no problem. He hits record and he literally says, okay, so now Michael, give an example of how you hit record and you
even though I had tremendous rapport with this person yesterday, they had a concern.
I have an example, Michael, because you did that with me.
Another one he said already.
You did that with me, yeah. And that was like, I can't remember exactly the details, but you were like, well, Matt, why don't you sign up for the year-long payment program? And if at 8 weeks, and you said, I'll record this to make sure that you have a record
which is just like, exactly, thank you, man. Like, and I do that one all the time. This one was a slightly different one, but like that one's a go-to that I have for people that I know he was a year-long match. I know that the propensity, not necessarily for Matthew, that if he comes through the 8 weeks and then goes, oh, fuck, I lost the $6,000 or $5,000 savings, it's going to hurt. I don't want my clients to hurt. Even if they say yes, like if they're really like clear, like I really want to do the 8 weeks, of course I'll support them. It's like, okay. And I'll say, like, just so we're clear, you're going to lose the savings. But I knew you were, he was a year long. So it's like, okay, I'm going to take the sting out of this. There's not a potential chance that I lose a client that should be a year-long client after 8 weeks.
Does that make sense? So I just want to make sure that everybody understands this. This was before he joined. So we don't do something like we only give some people the discount and some people we don't. We don't screw anyone. This is before he was going to join. He was on the fence of which one he should go to. And that's where Michael made that offer for him to make it a no-brainer. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Just two things I'll add to that. I really wanted to do the 8 week and I really wanted to do the full year, but I just wasn't sure. I hadn't actually decided to do either.
Right.
And when Michael did that, two things happened. One, I totally was absolutely all in on the 8 week and felt so relieved and calm, like my whole nervous system was fine or calm. And the second thing that happened is I didn't ask for the recording. I never said, hey, Michael, like send me that recording.
Well, that's what not to cut you off, Matthew. Like the whole purpose of doing it is, I mean, this woman yesterday would have trusted me with her children probably by the time I had built so much rapport in the conversation. I don't think you're going to think like I wouldn't keep my word to you, but I'm going to do this anyways. I click record. All it does is make it look so clean. I mean, I'm happy to give the person the recording. I have nothing to hide. Like what Matthew just shared is perfect. It's like, yeah, that's what I was doing. I'm clearing his concern. I'm not making a fucking recording that I'm going to send somebody that I know I'm going to keep my word anyways. I don't care if he comes back and says, I didn't want to continue. It's like, of course, I'm going to honor my word anyways. But what it does in the moment makes the person go.
Does that make sense, Beth? Like that's what needs to happen in the way you close. You have to be willing to hold your certainty because you know your integrity. You know your integrity and what your integrity means to you. You have to be willing to hold your certainty, ask a deeper probing question, say, yeah, I totally understand. I'm happy to give you one or two references concerns. I'd have to call them, make sure they're okay that I'm giving you their phone number. And most often when this happens, really there's a deeper concern that I'm really the best person to ask. What do you say? You can't hurt my feelings. What do you think is your biggest concern that's holding you back from going forward? I'm going to give you something that's going to be of value. I'm going to hit record.
Yeah.
I'm promising you that, you have my 100% guarantee that we will do this, and this, exactly what their biggest concern. And so that there would be no concern in this space. Is there anything else you need me to promise on recording so you've got my word? And you just close them on the spot.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Does that make sense, guys? It's always the concern. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I just want to add to it. Like everybody that's learning sales, feel the difference between pleasing somebody and closing them. Like, people don't know what their objections are. They don't even know why they're going to go sit with it. I used to do this in real estate. People, they think that the right thing to do is to think about it. An immediate response would be like, awesome. So you guys, there's a coffee shop right around the corner if you guys want to sit there, or you guys just want to talk with each other right here. And then they'd go, oh yeah, we could go to the coffee shop. Good. That's awesome. It's right around the corner. And you guys think, you'll be back in like 15 minutes? Good. Now I have them coming back to my office. Okay. So, what that does is just, they don't even know what they're going to talk about. They just think they're supposed to. So anyways, when you can do that and you're holding the feeling of the close all the way through.
Say that back, Beth.
Holding the feeling of the close all the way through.
All the way through. All the way through. You do not let go.
In fact, the shit that I bragged to her. I was like, I'll get off a call going, I closed that person 7 times.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. I'm really not joking. They've already said yes. I'll close them again and again and again. Now, nobody ever thinks that I'm doing this, and I'm not being a salesperson. They don't think I'm being salesy, but I will make sure that they have not have just bought in 80%, even if they gave me a credit card and okay, cool, awesome, and I'm going to close again. However I do this, it's I'm going to close again. I'm going to close again. I'm going to future pace them into the program, all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
So they don't even know what they're going to talk about. They just think they're supposed to. You got a payment. It's all the way through. So they're so
all the way through.
And most people come through that. They're like, you've cleared their concerns so much. They're like, oh my God, I'm so happy I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in service to my clients. That's actually what you're doing. I'm going deep on the sales thing. You really want to think of yourself as not selling. You're clearing their concern because you are the answer to their problem.
I want to show you guys devil's advocate of the opposite. When you don't do this, that's why all the concern comes into the beginning when you start to work with them, and it's horrendous. When you don't do this, guys, that's why they will be the most hardest client. They're constantly nitpicking on because you never took the time to close it all the way through and continue closing all the way through until they're into the, beginning work with you and they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Until they are saying, this is so amazing. You haven't closed them. And then you keep closing them. I'm just going to show you guys this throughout the entire process. It doesn't even end there. Now, inside of you building their home for them, there's going to be touch points where you've got to close them into from one touch point to the next touch point, and one touch point to the next touch point, and one touch to the next touch, until you've closed them all the way from the finished product. Does everybody understand that? Selling isn't just let me help them make a decision. Authentic selling is let me help them make a clear decision from themselves, yes or no, and then continue to make decisions all the way through of oh my God, this was so valuable. Oh my God, this is incredible. Oh my God, all the way through the process so that you have raving fans.
Well, it's funny that you said that because we just implemented, I kept on thinking that I had to be the project manager, and that's really not what I'm good at. I'm an account manager, and so that goes back to the sales. And now I've started to implement weekly updates to the clients, this is what to expect. And that's much better than me trying to project manage, because that's really what our superintendent and
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And these are the kind of things that I can only tell you what the real principles are, having the right people in the right position doing the right things throughout the entire front of the house process and back of the house process, right? Yep. Until you know what that is of who's doing these, you have to work out those kinks, because once you get it, doesn't it, everybody operates like a well-oiled machine, it's a lean, mean, profit-generating machine, because everybody knows what their number one, number two, and number three profit-generating activity is for the company. Is that making sense? Which is why, this is why you're so confident. And then when you've got this in, now it makes your sales so much more confident, because you know what you're going to be doing to keep them moving through inside of that user experience, closing all the way. You see what I'm saying? So
totally.
Then it's one person all the way through, rather than, this is what most companies do. I'm going to sell you, but then I'm going to have nothing to do with any of your journey.
Yep.
And then you're like, I told this person I was really concerned, but the person who's handling my account doesn't even know about my concerns, doesn't know anything about me and everything. And then there's a disconnect between what I thought I bought and what I got. That can't happen. Yep. Yeah, I know you know, but this is the goal.
It's great. I mean, and it really is, I always get nervous, like, that's me, like my ego, like, oh no, I'm losing control, I'm handing it over. And yet I can close it. I don't have to rely on, I can tee it up so well that she just walks in and collects the money. I need to do, like you said, clear the concerns better up front and just hold that feeling all the way through. And then we're going to get better references and recommendations, throughout the entire project. So yeah, that's beautiful. Both
like
thank you
every piece, like you're saying, like, I'm not just the person you're going to talk to now. I'm your account manager for the entire process. So I'm going to be making sure that everything we just talked about is going to be implemented on time and throughout the entire, so you know exactly what's happened. Like then they go, oh, you see the difference?
Yeah. And I've been trying to figure out a guarantee because I'm like, what can we guarantee that's different? And this is what we can get. The customized plan, which I know is what we always, but that's the guarantee that I can provide for each individual client. It really is the customized plan.
That's exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Boom. Lightning moment, you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Like, that's so freaking good. I love it. So good, Beth. I just want to acknowledge both of you guys. Oh my God, I'm so excited for you guys because this is what's been missing for you to just take off, right? Yeah. Everyone just so feel this. Like, attention is great when we can convert it.
Yeah.
Getting attention is great when we know how to convert it. Without our marketing plan, without everybody knowing like all of us, without each one of us knowing, how do we take our ideal client and get them to raise their hand and then move them through from the attracting them stage to the nurturing stage that gives them so much value that they're like, oh my God, I need more, to then overcoming any objections, which then closes the client. If we don't know this in our businesses, we don't have an exact process by which we take a person from cold to close, that becomes our marketing plan. That's the reason why we're not successful. Mm-hmm. Does everybody understand that? Anybody who has a successful company has figured out exactly what it is, their process is, to take someone who's cold to them and turn them into close. It's not one fell swoop, but they have that process ironed out. And once you have that process ironed out, that becomes the go-to way that you sort and clear who is my people, who just wants more, and so forth. So you constantly convert the right people. So I just want to say that because this is what's missing inside of creating. Anytime you're not making the results you want, anytime you're not making the money you want, I'm going to say this for everybody, it's because you don't have this process down yet. So this is what creates predictability and peace of mind in your business. Do you guys get that? If I didn't have that process down, I would be winging it, right? I know exactly what it takes to move from point A1, point A2, all the way to point, B, like those steps in between. And that is the reason why we're so successful. It's not anything bigger than that. Once you get this from each one of you, it's golden. You will never not forget this because it's human behavior 101. So just wanted to say that. It's freaking awesome. Really huge.
Mia, just real quick, process equals predictability and what? What was the second thing?
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I need.
But think about that, right? It's a formula. It's a recipe.
Yep.
It's a successful recipe or a process. Like when you know that, you do have peace of mind and predictability because you know exactly what causes clients to convert. And you know by which each piece that needs to happen to make that guarantee happen, to make sure that they feel total peace of mind. And when you do that and you know it consistently, more people sign, more people close. Now, once we have that, now we can use different things to grab attention. That's not even in our niche. I just want to take a second so everybody understands that, okay? I just want to say this because this is what people misunderstand. Most oftentimes, people think, we feel for how to say this best. Most times, people are trying to grab people's attention and they will either do one or two things. So they will either try to grab their attention by only talking to the people like, oh, do you want to know? I'm just going to use Franklin's because it's the one that we were talking about before. Like, oh, do you want to know about death? Then the only people who are immediately thinking about death are the only people that are going to come into his ecosystem. Okay. So once we have this process, not before, once we have this process and we know how to take someone from cold to close, Now we want to do things that get more people. This is when going viral is really, really cool. Okay. I want to show you what I mean by this. This is when going viral is really, 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 really cool. Because when we go viral, now this is what I mean by this when we do this. When we go viral and now we hook them. Okay, watch this, right? And we learn how to do this. I'm just showing you guys how this really works. You have a process already. Remember, everybody, you have to have your process in place first, okay? Now we hook them, okay? And then we create suspense. And then in the suspense, this is what creates them. We're hooking them and creating suspense and tension in 3 seconds. And then we hold that entire suspense and tension all the way until, right before we close in the last 3 seconds. Okay. I'm going to give you guys an example so you guys can get your mind around it. Beth sells construction. She does renovation, right? She does homes. But watch this, right? And Beth will understand this because she knows how to grab attention because they were really good at kind of doing fun kind of on social media to get people's attention, right? So watch this. Once you have your process in place, now let's say for instance, Beth, right, uses the old thing of someone sleeping on the job of one of her things. They're playing this, they're skidding this, and they spray shaving cream on their hand, right? Suspense, what's gonna happen? And then somebody comes behind and is like, ooh, right? But they have the logo of their construction company in this shot. Does that make sense? And then they're pitching and seeding the fact of like, oh my God, so-and-so sleeping on the job. Can you believe that? We pride ourselves on, like getting this done in less time. We can't have this. What are we gonna do about that? Shaving cream, tickle, right? I'm making this shit up on the spot. I just want you guys to see what I'm talking about, okay? Then I suspense it. What's gonna happen? They grab it. Oh my God, smack the payoff, right? And we get them engaged and say like, we don't, doesn't happen on our watch. We close more, we do this construction in less time. Whatever your tagline is inside of it, that's why we're girl flips. Now, when that goes viral, can you see that it's not just Beth's clients, because we're not going after just her clients who just want construction. We go, oh my God, this is so funny. And then people go look at who they are on Instagram and go, look, that's girl flip. They do this. Whatever the tagline is, that they do this construction in this unique way, faster than that, whatever their tagline is that hooks that. It's why they're different from other construction companies. So guess what happens when this goes viral and now someone is talking to their friend about they need to do something in California, they need to build a home. Guess how they hear about girl flip? Do you see what I mean? It wasn't the direct consumer. It was because they went viral. We're known for this clip. Is that making sense? And Beth, as somebody who understands about attention, can you see why attention without knowing your process to convert is wasted attention?
It was painful for a few months, you guys. So painful without a process. So now that the process is in place, it's like we're even starting to just like leads are just coming in now, and it just feels right. Before it was like, oh my God, what's going on? We're doing all of this social media and it was chaotic and it was frustrating and it was demoralizing at one point. It was really humbling. So the process has created so much just clarity for us internally.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Now that's why the peace of mind and predictability comes from that proven process.
Yeah.
Right? That's awesome. I just wanted to show you guys that because when you put this is for everybody, when you put the cart before the horse, that's why that becomes painful. When you've got the process dialed in and then you grab more attention, now the process can work wonders. Okay? Yep. Wonders. So just awesome. Really, really awesome. Just huge acknowledgement. Go job, go, Beth. Awesome.